Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and this is the start of a new series that I'm going to be doing on the channel called Kitch's Blueprint Book. This is meant to be kind of a supplement to my other Factorio series, where I go through and develop my personal blueprint book. I have blueprint books that I use. It's really kind of a mess, and there's really no order to it. It's just all kind of in there. Stuff I've downloaded off the internet, stuff I've copied from other factories. I want to be a little bit more organized with it. So I thought I would go through and record it and share it with you if it's something you're interested in. And if you have ideas as well, I want this to be an interactive series where I don't visit each one of these blueprints just once. I have an opening 1.0 episode where I'm going to throw out my thoughts and create a blueprint book. And then we'll revisit it in the future. So if you have ideas, suggestions, things that you would like to add to the conversation, please leave a comment below. And we'll look at those ideas in the future and see if we can't make some enhancements on the designs that we come up with here. So since this is the first, very first Kitch's Blueprint Book episode, I think we need to start at the beginning. Start with something rather simple. And I kind of feel this is the first blueprint that you actually need in a Factorio playthrough. And it's not so much to remember how it's built or to have robots build it for you, because you don't really have that in the beginning. But it's a very good blueprint to have for spacing, and that is smelting. This is also a good place to start because it's really simple and really hard for me to mess up, because I think smelting is pretty much a solved problem in Factorio. At least a very good smelting setup is a solved problem. And there's a lot of videos out there that have this information. Although I felt like this video needed to still be created, not only for completeness in the series, but also since the later versions of 0.16, a lot of that old information is no longer accurate. And you can actually get away with other designs that are a little better, in my humble opinion. So let's just get to it. We're going to work on some smelting blueprints. And we're starting out. We're not at the start on this map by any chance. This is a map that I'm playing on. No, we don't start out working on worker robot speed. But we are going to pretend like we are, and we have stone furnaces and yellow belt and yellow inserters and those things. And we are going to plonk down some stone furnaces. And we are going to start out by putting down 12 of these. Here we go. Is that 12? That's 12. Excellent. And we're going to lay down some yellow belt. We are going to have a line coming up here that is going to be input. We're going to have a line coming here, which is going to be output. We are going to have another line of 12 stone furnaces, as well as another line of input coming down here. So the idea here is that we are going to have a yellow belt coming out as our output and a yellow belt coming in as our input. And we're going to split that yellow belt coming in to where half of it goes up here and feeds these furnaces, and the other half comes down here and feeds these furnaces. And we will show you how we're going to do that here a little bit. But first, let's take a look at what we need over here. We need to get the items that are going to be on this belt into the furnaces, and then the items in the furnaces out onto the belts. And it's pretty straightforward to do. Let's grab some yellow inserters, and they will grab off of this belt and place their items onto this belt. So we just need to repeat this pattern all the way down. And go like this. And then down here below, we're going to do the same thing. They're going to grab their input off of this belt and put their output onto that belt. And we just take that all the way down. Just like that. All right, and we're only going to have small power poles in the beginning, the ones that you make with wood and copper. So I'm going to set up this blueprint, assuming that we only have these, and go ahead and place the small power poles. What I like to do is start up here at the upper left-hand corner and get it to where you get these two inserters and one from this grouping, just like that. Then come down to the very, very bottom and do the same. And then here in the middle, you can do it either here or down here. Doesn't matter. I think I'm going to do it up here and get the same. We'll get these inserters as well as one over here. Then we'll come over one and basically do a mirror image of that, where we grab these two inserters and that one right there, and right there. And that gets basically all of these furnaces right here. And we just want to repeat that pattern down here. So on the outside here, outside here, outside of this, outside of this, outside of this, and outside of this. And that should power everything. Let's just grab a medium power pole, put it right here, just to confirm. There we go. That looks good. Let's just trim off these edges right here. We can leave that one because that's going to be the output. All right, you may be looking at this and thinking these power poles don't look too great. It's not symmetrical all the way down, and it looks like we're using a whole bunch of them. A lot of the power space is repeated and wasted. There is another design that I've seen folks use that looks a little bit like this, where you have the stone furnaces, and then there's a space in between them where the power poles go, and it looks a little bit neater. It looks a little bit cleaner, I will admit. But I've heard claims that this particular setup uses less power poles, and it kind of looks like it does. It may be more power pole efficient. You're not repeating covered space, but it actually uses more power poles. So if I do a selection down here, see I'm using 14 power poles to get all that powered, as well as 84 belt, while up here, we're using 70 belt and only 12 power poles. So that's more efficient. Now, in fairness, there is a setup where you can take this stuff right here. Let's trim that off and move it over here. Just that one guy right there. And let's go ahead and put these in. So it's the same amount of furnaces, and we just moved it up a little bit. And that takes care of the power pole problem. It makes the power pole usage the same. So that actually looks the same, but this setup is using 90 belt as opposed to 70 belt up here. So 20 more belt to get this set up. And it just uses more resources. It looks a lot better, in my opinion, at least as far as the power pole spacing goes. I'm not going to argue that at all. I just prefer this design. It's an aesthetic choice. It's completely your choice as to how you want to do it. I prefer this one. I just like my things tighter. I like to use less resources. That makes me happy. All right, so let's see. Okay, what we need to do now is get this guy fueled. And we need, we said we were going to split the ore line coming in between this belt and this belt. We're also going to do the exact same with the coal line coming in. So that actually, I'm going to take one space off of this stone furnace here and just run that belt coming up like that. That's going to be my coal line coming up the middle. And I want to get a splitter there, a splitter there. So we're going to split the coal off of this line and feed it this way. We're going to have a belt coming this way, going that way, and a belt coming up here and coming that way. And you can kind of see how this works out. We're going to have our coal here. That's going to split out, and then it's going to split out again. So it's going to be on both sides of this belt. Now, it's going to be on both sides of the belt. We don't want that. We only want it on the inside lane. So we can do that by putting a splitter right here, and that keeps it. That's going to keep the coal on the inside. And then we can feed the iron ore from this side, and that will keep the iron ore on the outside. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's get a underground belt coming up like that, an underground belt going down. And let's go ahead and pull our coal line over here. And we'll see this guy in action. Now, while that's loading up, I'm going to go ahead and mention that this blueprint is now complete. This is what I use for just starting out. I call this a half stack. And the reason why I call it a half stack is this is enough furnaces to fill up half of this yellow belt. Okay? So, if we look at the count, we got 24 furnaces here. It's enough to fill up half of this. It's actually one more. No, wait. No, that's right. It's A little bit less, a little bit more than what we need to fill up half of this yellow belt. We're not filling up the full yellow belt here, but it's a good size. It's smaller whenever you're starting out. It's a really good blueprint to have. So I'm going to go ahead and create a blueprint of this. I'm going to select all of the stuff, and I'm going to trim off this edge here. Might as well. Let's see. Let's change the icons. Let's get it a stone furnace, and I want to do stone. I want to do iron ore, and I want to do copper ore because this smelting setup will work for all of these. The ratios will work with the iron ore and the copper ore. The stone's a little bit different, but this setup will completely work for that, for consistency's sake. All right, and I'm going to call this Kitch's Smelting. I'm going to call this a half stack. I'm going to call this stone, and I'm going to call this 1.0. because I'm going to embed little versions on all of my blueprints because just like everything else, they have a tendency to change over time as things change in Factorio or as optimizations are explained to me. All right, so that's good. That's good right there. We're going to go ahead and keep that. I'm going to go ahead and recycle this blueprint down here, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of this and paste it right here. And basically, we just doubled this. And what that gives us, if we connect up these lines right here, it gives us our full stack. So this amount of furnaces right here, what is that, 48, is enough to completely fill this yellow belt. A completely full compressed yellow belt coming out of this furnace setup right here, provided, and it's also enough to eat up a full yellow belt of iron ore coming in. So as long as you have a full iron belt coming in and being split in between both of these sides, you're going to have a full iron plate belt coming out. It's actually one less if you want to get technical. It's actually 47 furnaces is what is required in order to fill up that belt. But, then we'd have one missing on the end, and it would be uneven, and things wouldn't work out good. So it just looks better to throw that one on the end. I think that's pretty accepted practice. So I'm going to go ahead and grab another blueprint, and we are going to take that. And let's see, we want to make that stone. We want to make you all of these icons to say you're a general smelting. And that is going to be Kitch's Smelting, a full stack, stone furnaces, and version 1.0. All right, that is that. Okay, so let's talk about the next kind of smelting we may want to do, and that will be steel smelting. The steel smelter is kind of similar to this setup up here, and we can totally do that with stone. So let's go ahead and get it set up. We want a belt running down here, which is going to be our input belt. It's very similar to this setup down here. We're just going to expand it out a little bit. We want a row of furnaces. Let's see, how many is that? That is 9. Oh, and I took them all. Good job, Kitch. There we go. Is that 12? I think that should be 12 right there. Yes. Okay, so we're going to go do 12 furnaces. Those are going to smelt the iron ore into iron plates. And then our next level of furnaces right here is going to smelt the iron plates into steel. And we're going to have 2 lines running down here. One of them is going to be coal, and the other one is going to be our steel output line. And we need to do 2 rows of more furnaces for the other side. We're just mirroring what we had down there, as well as our iron ore input belt. All right, and the inserter setup is very similar down here. We are going to feed in the iron ore and coal into these furnaces to smelt the iron plates, and then we're going to move those iron plates into the next row of furnaces to smelt the steel. Now, these guys right here are going to need iron off of this lower belt, so we need some inserters faced in to grab iron to act as fuel for the steel smelting. And then we're going to grab some long-handed inserters, and those are what are going to actually output onto the furthest belt. Now up here, the long-handed inserters are actually going to be grabbing the coal off of the far belt. So we can go ahead and place those down. And then the yellow inserters are actually going to be what's inserting the steel onto that line. And we can go ahead and take this all the way up. Now, the one caveat with this steel setup is that the small power poles will not work. There isn't a way to set these up where you can actually power all of these guys down here. So you will need the medium power poles. That is about the best way I've found to do it. We'll start right there. That gets that big group powered. Right there, that gets that big group powered. And there, and there. Same thing down here. But by the time you are, if you're setting up a steel smelter, you'll have to set up kind of a bootstrap steel facility in order to get. You can actually set up this and just put coal on these furnaces until they smelt their steel. You can take that out to build the power poles that you need. You only need 8 of them for this beginning stack. All right, so the coal is going to continue on down through here. It's going to come up. And we're going to bring coal up to, like, right here. And we're going to want to split it off so that we can send coal down that line. Then we're going to want to split it off so we can send it to the outside. Like that. And then it's going to continue on and go under that belt right there. And just like down below, we're going to have our iron input right here. That's going to come up like this, go that way. That's going to come down here and go that way. All right, let's go ahead and just nab this guy real quick, and we'll populate him with some iron ore. And let's go ahead and throw a medium power pole like down here. You go ahead and get that all powered up. And these guys will get busy to start making steel. We need to hook up this coal belt right here to get our actual steel smelters fueled up. This coal line coming up the middle here, this is just the way that I like to do it. And I leave this space down here on these smelters just so it lines up with the steel smelters. I like to... The advantage, what I really like about this blueprint is I can just take these smelters and just continue rolling them up in a line. And there's one belt of coal coming in that can support all that. And one belt of coal coming in can support a lot of these furnaces. A lot. In the Practical Factorio series, we had what? 4 iron smelters, 2 steel smelters. These are full stacks, by the way. 4 copper smelters and a stone smelter just off of one belt of coal coming in. So... it can support quite a bit. But we can see steel coming down here on this line right now. And this is our steel smelting half stack. So I'm going to grab a blueprint of this. And I'm going to call this Kitch's steel smelting. Half stack. Stone furnaces, and 1.0. And I'm going to take out that belt and replace it with steel to designate what exactly that is. It is. And we got this spare blueprint right here. I'm going to take that, we're going to recycle it, and I'm going to copy all this setup right here and just paste it down here, because just like the iron setup, we just double that and it becomes a full stack. Now, full stack... I call it that just because it's the same size. This actually is not enough steel furnaces to fill up a yellow belt. To do that, you would actually need 5 of these. So yeah, steel is a whole other animal when it comes to smelting things. I'm gonna go ahead and trim off that stuff on the end there. But basically 1/5 of a yellow belt, roughly, is what this will actually produce. All right, so while that's there, I'm going to go ahead and take that blueprint that we used, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab it. I'm going to replace that with steel. I'm going to say Kitch's steel smelting a full stack stone, and this is 1.0. All right, so these are our stone furnace layouts for smelting just about everything that you need in the game. A couple of things I want to point out. If you're watching some other smelting videos, you may notice that they're putting things like these undergrounds in places like this, or some other thing where they've got underground belts here at the end that these guys are inserting onto. That was an old trick that you had to do in version 0.15 and before, because these inserters could not actually compress a full belt coming out. But if you put undergrounds, they would treat them like a chest, and it would actually it was actually a little trick you could do to make these guys actually compress the belt. As of 0.16, that is no longer necessary. Also, in earlier versions of 0.16. You may see it where somewhere in the middle, they're taking one of the belts like that, and they're running it underground, something like that, and coming here to the end and joining the two halves together with a splitter. That was something that you needed in earlier versions of 0.16 in order to get a compressed belt coming out. With the later versions of 0.16, and I don't remember exactly when it was that it changed, but if you're on a current version of 0.16 now, you no longer need that because the inserters have the capability to compress the belt. All right, so this is all fine and good for stone furnaces, but what about when it's time to come and upgrade? Or we want to do an upgraded version of this? It's actually very, very easy to do. The upgrade to a stone furnace is a steel furnace. And the ratios here just work out beautifully. So let's go ahead and just replace all these stone furnaces with steel furnaces. Just like that. And now all we need to do is just update this belt to red. Update this belt to red. And update this top belt here to red. And bam, that is what we need in order to get a full red belt of iron plates out of this particular setup. The ratio is exactly the same when you update to a red belt and to steel smelters. So as long as you keep a full red belt of iron ore coming out here, I probably need to upgrade these as well to red. And as long as we can keep a full red belt of iron ore coming into this setup, we will get a full red belt of iron plates coming out. Another little tweak I like to do to this one is we're going to go ahead and just remove all the old power poles. Because at this point, if I'm still smelting using steel furnaces, I probably already have the medium power poles automated, where I don't have the small electric poles automated. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up to use the medium power poles, and I'm just going to follow the exact line I have up here with the steel smelters, even though it's not optimal, but I like to have the pretty grid on the map whenever I'm looking at my power poles. So you can do this on the outside, you can do it on the inside, you can mix and match outside and inside, it's completely up to you. I kind of like to do it like that, just so it lines up a little better, and I just take the same line that the steel furnaces use and come down directly that. So there, and there. All right, so that is our upgraded setup right here. I'm going to go ahead and blueprint it. And I think I've got an extra power pole here. Yes, I do. I'm going to call this Kitch's Smelting. That is a full stack. That is steel. And that is 1.0. And let's see, we want a steel furnace We want all of our icons to show that this is general smelting, and that is going to be good right there. All right, so we got that one in the books, and very similar to how we had this set up, if we want to upgrade our steel smelter, we can go ahead and do that. Just upgrade the outside belts to red, and the top belts to red. And we'll go ahead and do the splitters coming in. Splitter, splitter. You can do those splitters if you feel you need to. The coal coming in, this should be fine. It's going to depend on how many smelters you have, what kind of belt this is going to be running in the middle. It may be worth it to go and just make this default to red, but we don't have red in the beginning, so I don't know. I don't know what the right call is there. But we'll just come through. I do know that we need to upgrade all these furnaces to steel furnaces. And then, boom, we have our upgraded steel smelter. This output line, again, we're not filling out a full belt of steel here, so you can leave it as yellow. You can set it to red. It all depends on your setup. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it as yellow in this blueprint, and may come back and change it later. I don't know. I think yellow will be fine for right now, though. And this is going to be Kitch's steel smelting, a full stack, and steel furnaces 1.0. All right, I like it. Okay, so there is our full smelting blueprint. I'm not going to get into electric furnaces at this point. They follow their own rules. It's just kind of the way I play the game. I don't use electric furnaces until I have modules and beacons. I think that's when they really shine. These steel furnaces are extremely powerful. You can do a lot with them. So I like to keep them around as long as I can. And there is no upgrading this setup to electric furnaces. Steel is as high as this goes. Like I said, electric furnaces, they're dealing with a whole new game. You've got production modules, you've got beacons, you've got... they're actually bigger, so they don't fit into this. I've seen blueprints that kind of allow for electric upgrade. I don't use those because these lines are never going to be upgraded to electric. Steel smelting is going to be far off at another outpost, at least the way that I play. I don't know. Do you have ideas into moving this up to electric if that is ever necessary? Maybe there is a long-term blueprint that you can lay out for stone that makes its way up to electric with beacons that can support a blue belt of ore coming in. I'm not sure. These are the ideas I want to leave open. But I think at this point, this is where I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go and create a new blueprint book. We're going to put that in our inventory here. We are going to open it up, and this is going to be Kitch's Smelting Book 1.0. And we're going to put our stone half stack, our stone full stack, and our steel full stack, as well as our steel half stack, our steel smelting full stack, and our upgraded steel facility right here. All right, and I think I'm going to call that a starting blueprint book, actually expanding out a little bit into mid-game. So, what do you think? What do you think? There's not a whole lot. Like I said, this is kind of a solved problem, I think, in Factorio. For a lot of you, I'm probably not saying anything that you haven't already heard or already practiced. There's a couple of variations in there. We kind of discussed one with the power poles. There's also some variations on the way this coal runs in. I've seen some folks do it where the coal would actually come in from the outside and just kind of curl around. I don't know, it just seems more convenient for me to have it come up the middle like this. It makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, you look at this and think there's undergrounds and splitters, so it's more resource intensive, but you know what? You're using the undergrounds here. You're using the splitter whenever you're splitting it off the main coal line, so it's not like it's more resources to do it this way. I don't know. I just like it this way better. We can just keep tiling these guys just up off of that main coal line until we run out of coal. Well, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this first episode of Kitch's Blueprint book with the smelting. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, if you have ideas on how to improve these designs, or maybe there's some other smelting designs that you know of that we might want to consider putting in the book for specific situations, do let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.